Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 275. Andrew Eisen here. Going to try very hard to give you an upbeat, enthusiastic, positive podcast full of goodness and cheer and love. Probably going to fall flat on my face in that regard. So, there we are. 10 weeks. Spider-Man No Way Home came out 10 weeks ago. Hello, Chaos. Hello, Lindy. I want to see Spider-Man No Way Home because I'm a big old superhero dork and I love me my superhero movies. Well, I am not comfortable going to the theater, but I'm okay with going to the drive-in. However, for the past 10 weeks, the drive-in has been... how the drive-in works is you drive in, pay $10, and you get to see a double feature. Sadly, for the last 10 weeks, Spider-Man has been double featuring with itself. And well, I'm not paying $10 to see Spider-Man twice in a row. I'm sure it's good. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I'm sure it's a movie I might want to watch again someday, but not right after watching it. I insist on seeing another movie, even if it's another movie I wouldn't otherwise go see. But the week it came out, it was double featuring with itself. Second week, double featured with itself, and so on and so forth it went, until this week, the 10th week, where it is no longer, finally, double featuring with itself. So, I am going to go see Spider-Man No Way Home, sometime next week, middle of the week, because, less people. But that also gives me time. 10 weeks, by the way. It took him 10 weeks to stop double featuring the damn thing with itself. Oh, it's double featuring with Uncharted, the other Tom Holland movie, so that makes sense. I don't really have that much interest in seeing Uncharted. It doesn't look very good. I don't think the games are that good. I thought Uncharted 2 was pretty good. I thought Uncharted 1 was bad, and Uncharted 3 was terrible. I own Uncharted 4 and Lost Levels, Lost Legacy, something, but I have not played them yet. So I'm not holding out a whole hell of a lot of hope for the Uncharted movie, but, maybe it'll be fun. Now, having seen the marketing for the movie, I am aware that it has to deal with the multiverse and villains from the previous series of films. I happen to know from the marketing of the film that Doc Ock from the Raimi films is in there. And so is not Vulture, Green Goblin. And even some villains from the Amazing Spider-Man movies, such as Electro and the Lizard. Chaos says, from what I gather about Uncharted, just go in with lowered expectations and just take it for what it is. Yeah, I have, no expectations. I'm expecting it to be kind of lame, but, all you have to do is be better than lame, and I'll go, oh, alright, pleasantly surprised. Anyway, so I'm aware of, the basic conceit of the movie. We rip a hole in the multiverse, and villains from the previous series of films come tumbling in. So it would not at all surprise me if the Spider-Men from the previous series of films came tumbling in. I don't know that that's the case. I highly suspect that's the case because, if you're putting in villains from the previous movies, why wouldn't you put in the Spider-Mans from the previous movies? So, I thought a good use of my time would be to finally watch the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I saw all the Raimi films back when they came out in theater in, 15, 20 years ago. But I never saw the Amazing Spider-Man movies from 8 to 10 years ago. And then I thought, there are a lot of superhero movies that I haven't seen. So I made a list. I made a list of every superhero film, mainly DC and Marvel superhero films, from the past 20 years that I've not seen. And I came up with a list of about 24 different, well, a little more than that, but about 24 different titles. And I thought, this might be a fun new YouTube series. Andrew finally watches The Amazing Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and all the other superhero films he never got around to watching. Then I read the list back to myself. Let me read the list to you and see if you can notice the problem. In chronological order, Catwoman, Constantine, Fantastic Four, X-Men The Last Stand, Ghost Rider, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Jonah Hex, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, Green Lantern, The Amazing Spider-Man, The Dark Knight Rises, The Wolverine, X-Men Days of Future Past, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Fant Force Stick, X-Men Apocalypse, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, Justice League, X-Men Dark Phoenix, Joker, The New Mutants, Wonder Woman 1984, and Spider-Man No Way Home. There's a goodly number of movies right there. Hello, Cafe Fox. And I read this list to myself, and I thought, I don't have a lot of hope for these movies. I didn't see these. No Way Home I've been wanting to see. I finally have an opportunity this week to see. But everything else on the list, I haven't seen them because I didn't bother because they look bad. Not saying they are bad. Haven't seen them. But they look bad. Chaos says, aside from a small handful, they all suck. Yeah, I've heard The Wolverine is okay. But, yeah, I mean, like, Green Lantern and the Fantastic Four movies and Catwoman, these movies are, like, notoriously bad. Like, I didn't see them in the first place, not because I was busy, but because I watched the marketing and I went, that looks bad. I have no interest in seeing that. And for the most part, the reviews and what I've heard from other people is like, all this stuff is really bad. But, again, big superhero dork. So I spent the day watching The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I recorded my reaction to them. I think this is a bad idea. Because The Amazing Spider-Man was really, really bad. Amazing Spider-Man was a step up. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a step up, I thought. But a step up from really bad is still pretty bad. It was funny because about 40 minutes into the first Amazing Spider-Man, I was like, you know what? Maybe this movie gets a bad rap. Maybe it's unfairly maligned. I was thinking to myself, it's not good, but it's not bad. It's fine. Oh, and then everything just falls apart. Oh my god, the Amazing Spider-Man movies are really, really bad. Which is not to say there's nothing to enjoy in them. There is. There are movies that have moments. Like Amazing Spider-Man 2 actually has some pretty fun action scenes in it. I like the design of a lot of stuff. Something I forgot to mention in my review is they do some fun stuff. Like I love the design, this weird design of the power plant that they have at the end of Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I like the way they integrate the music into that scene with electro, boom, 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 boom. It's doing that as he lights up the different electric towers and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's fun. I like that. It's fun. Oh god, that movie is bad. They feel like, especially the first one, it feels like a movie that Kind of like the first Venom movie. It feels like a movie where they shot it and then they panicked and then they chopped it into pieces and just didn't know what to do with it. Because the first movie's really weird in that there's a bunch of plot lines and characters that don't just go anywhere. That's a problem the second movie has. The first movie, it just completely drops them. Like, the first movie sets some stuff up and just never addresses them again. There's an entire character in the first movie that just leaves and is never heard from again. I'm like, did he die or something? What happened? The second movie does a better job of not forgetting what it was talking about, but it has a bunch. It has a bunch of big reveals and moments and plot detours that don't service the narrative at all. Oh my god, they're so bad. That said, I will be absolutely happy to see Andrew Garfield show up in No Way Home, if he does. I'm assuming Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield show up in No Way Home. I don't know. It hasn't been in any of the marketing, and everyone's been polite and not spoiled anything about the movie. It's just something I've always kind of assumed about the film. My god, the Amazing Spider-Man movies are bad! Holy shit! Wow, what's worse, Venom or Amazing Spider-Man? Ooh. Ooh, I'd have to think on that one. Oh, that's a toughie. You know what the worst part of a lot of the films on this list is? Chaos will watch anything with Emma Stone. Yes. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, two people who were definitely 17 years old back in 2012. So, Daddy, I'm 17 years old. Oh, no, you're not. Whatever. I talk about this in my review. They really should have just made them college kids, because the fact that they're in high school has no bearing on the narrative at all. The actors are all good. I'm not disparaging Emma Stone or Andrew Garfield or any of the performers. They're all great. No problem with the performers. The movies are just really, really bad. And that's a shame, because they're all so long. The first one's like 2 hours and 15 minutes. The second one's a little bit longer. And other stuff on my list, like Batman v Superman, is like 3 goddamn hours long. I'm like, I don't want to watch it. If there's anything worse than a bad movie, it's a really long bad movie. It's like, I watched a movie the other night called I Am a Ghost, and it's one of those movies I admire more than I liked. It's not very entertaining, but it's got such a great premise that I kind of admire it. Ultimately, though, despite a cornucopia of genuinely wonderful ideas, not a very entertaining movie. Luckily, it's only 75 minutes long, so it's not, oh, God. Oh, and Justice League is even longer. I mean, the director's cut is like 4 hours. This is a bad idea, partially. I think mostly I'm calling this is probably a bad idea because I have the sneaky suspicion that I'm not going to like the majority of these movies. I'm really hoping that at least some of them are the, fabled diamond in the rough. I'm like, hey, Batman v Superman was great, I'm really hoping that at least some of them, but oh god, I don't like being negative. I don't, because movies are hard to make. I couldn't make a good movie to save my life. Lots of people work really hard on The Amazing Spider-Man. And I'm sure if they see my video, they're probably going to feel really bad because I called it really bad. And I don't want to do that, but I'm also very honest. I at the very least try to not be mean about my critiques. And at least try to explain why a movie doesn't work for me. But so anyway, you can look forward to my full thoughts, because those videos are like 30 minutes. I had a lot to say on Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I'll probably have one of them ready for next week. Days of Future Past and Dark Knight Rises are good. Oh, well, okay. I don't know about Dark Knight Rises. Not a fan of the first two Nolan films. Batman films. Batman Begins, I thought the first two acts were pretty good, and the third act was bad. Dark Knight Rises, I thought, was mediocre the whole way through. I thought it was alright. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was, like, fine. Sadly, I never really saw what everyone else saw in it. I thought it was okay. And then Dark Knight Rises just looks bad to me. There's also Amazing Spider-Man is something that I was high on morphine due to some surgery or some not that I had at the time, and so I slept through the entire movie. I remembered like one sequence. I wasn't sure if I dreamed it, because it's a sequence where Spider-Man gets shot in the leg, which means he can't use his arms to web swing, and so a bunch of crane operators move their crane boom arms over the street so that he can swing down the street, which he's always been able to do, because all these cranes are like on top of really tall buildings. I'm like, this is so stupid. Did I dream? No, that's actually in the movie. I may have been high on morphine, but that's actually in the movie, and it makes no goddamn sense. I mean, I get what they're going for, but oh man, it is not done well at all. And the movie completely forgets that he was shot in the leg. Never comes up again. Likewise, Dark Knight Rises, I had another morphine-induced surgery thingy, and I just don't remember. I remember the movie being boring, but I was also on morphine and sleeping most of the time, so that's not a very fair thing to say. I remember kind of watching it up until he's fighting Bane in a sewer or something. I think like Catwoman betrays him and locks him in, and then he starts fighting Bane, and then he's like in a big hole in the ground or something that he's trying to climb. Again, I was sleeping through the movie, so I would like to actually see it and give it a fair shake. And hopefully I'll dig it, because I prefer liking movies to not liking movies. Cafe Fox liked Days of Future Past too. You know, one thing that interests me about the post First Class X-Men films is, does Jennifer Lawrence look as utterly bored of this shit in the actual film as the marketing makes it look? Because every trailer I've seen for Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix, Jennifer Lawrence, maybe it's just the clips that they're using for the trailers, but as a performer, she looks like, oh god, I so don't want to be here. I have no idea if that's an actual thing or if that comes off in the performance. It's just the way it comes off in the marketing, but every trailer I saw for those movies, I looked at Jennifer Lawrence and I'm like, wow, she's done with it. Looks like she's there because she's contractually obligated to be here. Alright, I'll play Mystique, but I won't like it. And I'm not doing that goddamn makeup. I'm just gonna be me for most of it. I hope that's not the case, because she's she's quite lovely in First Class, but man, the impression I got, again, just from the marketing, and this may just be the way the marketing worked, she looks like really over this X-Men shit. Anyway, yeah, so I'll see him eventually, and hopefully some of these 24 movies are actually good, because again, I skipped them because they looked bad. I don't think there's a single movie on this list, with the exception of No Way Home, which I'll be seeing sometime next week, that I didn't see simply because I didn't get around to it. I skipped all of them on purpose. Um, so, but I still want to see him, because I'm just a big superhero dork. Generally speaking, I don't like superhero comic books, like the mainstays, the DC and the Marvel stuff. I like the ideas, but most superhero comics, I think, are just not very well done. I don't think they're very good. I think they've got a lot of great ideas. I just think the execution is always kind of crap. And I think that's usually a function of it's expensive to and difficult to write and draw a comic book, especially if you're doing like an issue a month, like 24 to 30 pages a month. That's really hard to do. Not a lot of space to get a lot of story going there, which is why they narratively come up short for me. But you also have to remember a lot of these books are really targeting 12-year-olds who don't have my discerning narrative taste. I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but yeah. Let's see. Chicago, hello. Chaos says if you didn't like the first two Nolan films, Dark Knight Rises won't win you over. That's a shame. I'd still like to see it though, just to see it. Her character Mystique, it does get lazier with every subsequent movie. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if Jennifer Lawrence, if they were like being mean to her on set, or if they took advantage of her contractually, or if she was just like, screw this, I got Hunger Games money. I don't need this X-Men crap in my life. I don't like the 8 hours of blue body paint makeup. I'm not a morning person. So anyway, so that's something I'm working on. And I've been meaning to... I watched the Amazing Spider-Man movies today because, again, I'm going to go see No Way Home this week. I've been meaning to watch Batman v Superman for like the past couple of weeks. And every time I think about it, I look at the runtime, I'm like, nah. Nah. I don't want it. It's so long and it's probably not good. I'll watch it eventually, though. So I'm continuing in my quest to finish some of the video games that I started but never finished. And I restarted, or got back into Horizon Zero Dawn, which I started last May, I think, so about 9 months ago. And I started playing it sometime earlier this week. Oh, you enjoyed my Valentine's Day video? I'm glad you did. It's for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's the latest video on my channel. It's called Making Women Cry for Fun and Profit, I think is what I titled it. So it's like 2 minutes long. It's a quickie. So Chaos says Batman v Superman is a mess, but Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are good. I'm familiar. Ben Affleck's a very good performer. So I don't doubt that he makes a great Batman. Cavill I've only seen in Man of Steel. Have I seen him in anything else? I don't think I've seen him in... No, I saw him in The Witcher. I only watched the first episode, but I thought, he handled... Granted, that role, at least in the first episode, is fairly one note, but that's perfect pitch on that note. I'll give him that. Great Geralt, I think, of Riviera something. Jerry, Witcher, Jerry. So I thought he was great in that. I didn't think Man of Steel was good, but so I had a hard time judging his performance. But I mean, he was fine in the role. He looks good. I just didn't care for the movie, so it's kind of hard to get a feel for him as a performer. But yeah, so based on Man of Steel and the first episode of The Witcher, yeah, I think he's a fine performer too. Didn't see the latest Mission Impossible. I think he's in. Didn't see that. I've only seen the first 4, and I think they're up to 6 now. I need to do more Andrew Barbershop Quartet songs. Um, Physically, Affleck is the most imposing and intimidating Batman. Not too surprising. Affleck's a big guy. He's a really, I mean, he's like 6'4" or something like that. He's a really big guy, so that doesn't surprise me. And you put him in a Geraldo Rivera, yeah, something like that. Jerry of Riverdale, something, Witcher guy. Um, should I watch more? I did a debut review for The Witcher, and I didn't really care for the episode, but it ends with such a fun action scene that I was like, I might have to watch more of this. And I hear there's a really good song called Toss a Coin to the Witcher or something like that, that everyone really liked, and I like music, so. Chaos saying, or no, Chicago saying no. Yeah, Chicago saying I need to do more Andrew Barbershop stuff. Probably not much, because as you can tell from the video, I'm not very good at it. In fact, my initial my initial plan was to end that video having the outro song be The End of Caroline instead of my usual outro music. And I tried recording The End of Caroline, and I just could not get it to sound good. And this is compared to the recording, the two excerpts that are in there. It's even worse than that. So I went with my regular outro music because I just couldn't sing it. It was just the lead and the Barry are just sitting in a place that I just really can't do. So yeah, it's multi-tracking is difficult all by itself. It's even worse when you're genuinely bad at 3 of the 4 parts. So don't expect a lot of multi-tracking from me, but it is something I do like to do occasionally. Mission Impossible Fallout, okay. Galabella. What was I talking about? Horizon Zero Dawn, right. So, started Horizon Zero Dawn earlier this week, and I was like, oh no. Do I need to restart this game? Because I don't remember how to play it at all. Because I entered some mission with some big robot things and a bunch of dudes, and I got pasted like 3 times in a row. I mean, it's not even funny. I was firing arrows at these things and doing like no damage, and I just got murdered like 3, maybe 4 times. I was like, oh no, I've forgotten how to play this. I may need to restart because I don't know how to fight. I don't know what I'm doing. And I didn't restart it. It took me an hour, but I got back into the swing of things and have been playing Horizon Zero Dawn this week. And it happened. I didn't realize this, but Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Horizon Forbidden West, I think it's called, actually came out this week, I think. So that was kind of an interesting coincidence. I started up a Zero Dawn again, and the sequel comes out. I'm like, oh, hey, how about that? Interesting comparing that game to Breath of the Wild. Kind of outlined a comparison video that I'd like to do, but oh man, that's a lot of work. Because I want to capture footage, and that's capturing footage from 2 games. So, I'll have to think about that. It's something I'd like to do, even though it is kind of discouraging with the way YouTube throttles my views and my videos. I mean, the best I could hope for is maybe like 200 views on a video like that. I mean, really, as long as you find folks see it, I'm pretty happy. But it is kind of discouraging when YouTube artificially limits who sees your videos. It's like, why would you even do that? Well, I know why, but it's still kind of aggravating. It's like, why spend dozens and dozens of hours on a project when YouTube's not going to let many people see it? And it's like, well, for you guys. But it's something I'll think about. It would be a fun comparison to make, but it would just be a lot of work to put that thing together. So I'm just not sure I want to take the time to do that. Chaos says the barbershop song should be one of the donation goals. Well, I would have to pre-record something because I can't sing can't do all 4 parts by myself at the same time, obviously. But I'll maybe there's something I can do. I don't know. I'll think about it. Anyway, still quite enjoying Horizon Zero Dawn. It's interesting. I think the most interesting thing about Horizon Zero Dawn is comparing it to Breath of the Wild, a game that is good. I'd even call it great, but one that I find very annoying in a lot of respects that makes me not want to play it. I did beat it, though. It took me a while, but I did eventually complete Breath of the Wild. It was one of those games that I didn't want to start playing, because every time I thought, I should play Breath of the Wild, then I think, but the horse, and Link is so slow, and the constant raining. I was like, I don't want to put up with all this small little thing, and all my weapons are just gonna break. Horizon doesn't have that problem. So it's like, which game is better? I'm not sure. That's why it's so interesting to do a comparison and contrast to those two games. Came out the same year, I believe, 2017, if I'm not mistaken, which could totally be. Someone Google it, I guess. So I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I have the complete edition, which includes the Frozen Wilds DLC, which I figured was a separate selection out of the menu after you beat the game or something like that, but no, because I was just exploring, and I just wandered into the DLC. You don't have to beat the game first, you can just run straight there if you know where it is. So I'm in the Frozen Wilds area right now. Working. Apparently, there's a big pipe organ that's underwater, so I need to go upstream and dam up the river to drain out the pipe organ, or so some woman can go play her pipe organ, which seems cool. So, could be a video for After Extra Life. Just need to find a song that I can actually sing somewhat okay-ish. Because I can sing a decent bass, but I do not have a melody voice, as you can tell from the Valentine's Day video. The notes are correct. It's just not particularly pretty to listen to. I don't have a very good lead voice. My tenor's pretty bunk too, especially in the most common range that tenor is in, like that D to F right there. It's like too low for a clear falsetto and too high for a good head voice for me, you know. But yeah, it's always envious of the folks I know who can do multi-tracking, who can sing all 4 parts pretty well, because I've arranged my own music and never got anyone to sing it. I'm like, I'll do it myself. It's like, I can't. I've arranged a couple songs. I'm like, maybe I'll multi-track this myself, and I've tried, and I'm like, nope, I just can't. I can't sing this. It just doesn't work. Doesn't have to be a barbershop song. Could be a current song in barbershop style. Well, that's a lot of barbershop music, especially modern, is taking music that you wouldn't normally think of as barbershop music and arranging it in barbershop style. Like taking, Disney songs. Like, I don't know, Let It Go or something. Or let's try something more recent, like Surface Pressure, or We Don't Talk About Bruno, and arranging that into 4-part harmony. We Don't Talk About Bruno has a lot of possibilities for like a chorus, I think. But I haven't done any arranging in like 10 years, so probably way out of practice with that. And also, again, I'm just not very good at singing anything other than bass. Smoky Mountain song from The Hobbit. Far over the misty mountains cold, in dungeons deep and caverns old. Ba 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 do 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 do. Yeah, I really liked it. That was a cool song that they did for the Hobbit movies. Yeah, it's a great song. Oh, I've actually heard I'd have to listen to it again. I don't think it's strictly barbershop, but it was a four-part male a cappella arrangement of the Misty Mountains song. There's probably several. The one I'm thinking of, I don't think was barbershop, but it was four-part harmony. I forget who did it too. Don't remember. So summing up, Horizon Zero Dawn. Twas I'm enjoying it. I have my critiques, of course, but overall, I'm having fun playing through it. So Who Framed Roger Rabbit is up there among my favorite movies. Love that movie. Saw it in theater back in 88, 89 when it came out. And it was always kind of bummed that we never got a sequel to Roger Rabbit, because that world is ripe for storytelling. Well, I am happy to announce that we are finally getting a sequel to Roger Rabbit. And it's called... Actually, I'm not sure. Let me double check, see what it is called. Because I think I may have the title wrong. Hang on a sec. Scrolly. Okay, I am right. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. The movie. And you might say, well, I mean, if it's a sequel to Roger Rabbit, why isn't it called Roger Rabbit Part 2? Because it's Chip and Dale, but it takes place in Roger Rabbit universe. So the big conceit of Roger Rabbit is cartoons are actors who perform, or rather, cartoon characters are actual actors who perform as characters in cartoons. Toons are real. They are actual animated characters who wander around and buy milk and Triscuits and pay rent and hang out at bars and stuff. And it's a really wonderful movie. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers takes place in the same universe, where Chip and Dale are two actors who did a Disney Saturday morning cartoon back in the 90s. And now they are going on the show ended 25 years ago, and now they're going on, getting the gang back together for another adventure. And it takes place in the real world. Again, Chip and Dale are cartoon characters who exist in the real world. They're just actors who are on a television show. And some of the things I really like is, based on the trailer, it seems that Chip and Dale have regular speaking voices. So either they put on a voice to do that high-pitched squeaky stuff they do in the cartoons, or that was a post-processing effect added to their voices later. It'll be interesting to see which one of those it is. Also, there's a gag where Dale is a full CG character now. He's like, yeah, I had the full 3D cosmetic surgery. So Chip is full cell cartoon, hand animated 2D cartoon, and Dale's a full CG, floofy furred creature, which is a pretty funny idea. Also, one of the ideas I probably talked about this in a podcast some time ago, but one of the ideas I had for like a modern day Roger Rabbit is you'd have CG characters running around, like Optimus Prime or something like that. You'd have more modern characters like Optimus Prime, but you'd have like the full CG characters, like maybe the movie Optimus Primes and stuff. And there's a sequence in the film where they seem to be in a part of town, like maybe an offshoot of Toontown, that's some like early 2000s CG characters who have just really awkward, who have the whole uncanny valley face and awkward walk cycles, and their eye lines don't match anything. So I'm really excited for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. So, Chicago saw the trailer too. Hope it's as good as Roger Rabbit. I doubt that. Roger Rabbit is a revolutionary classic of its time. But you never know. Hopefully it's great. Interestingly, the Tom and Jerry movie that came out a year or two ago, same kind of conceit that Tom and Jerry are cartoons that take place in a world where cartoons are just a thing. Although Tom and Jerry don't, I didn't see the movie, but they don't seem to be actors who play Tom and Jerry in the Tom and Jerry cartoons. They just seem to be Tom and Jerry, and they just live in the real world, a real world that has cartoon characters in it. I heard it was bad, but the trailer I thought it looked cute from the trailer, so no idea. I'd like to see that at some point. So, yeah, excited for that. And I'll skip this one because that's a negative thing and I don't want to talk about it. So, last on the list is Peacemaker, which is a character from The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie from a year or two ago, which I saw and thought was utterly delightful. And so I was excited to see the Peacemaker show. And it, too, was utterly delightful, if only because it has an opening song and dance, which all television shows and movies should. Every one of them. All of them should open with a song and dance number. And if I were in charge, they all would. Because it's fun. So yeah, Peacemaker has a great song and dance number that it opens with, and the show's good too. It's fun, it's funny, the characters are all lovable, the storytelling is good, unlike the Amazing Spider-Man. So I was really impressed with the show. And I was also genuinely impressed with John Cena as a performer. He really showed more range than I knew he had. I mean, I'd always been pretty impressed with what I'd seen him in. I was like, this guy seems limited in range, but what he does really well. Like, he does, macho posturing really well, but he also has amazing comic timing. I was impressed with him in the Bumblebee movie, and then I saw The Suicide Squad, and it's like, he actually, towards the end of the movie, in his role towards the end of the movie, if you haven't seen it, he exudes some pathos, which I wasn't I'm like, there's some dimensions to this character, and Cena's performance is bringing it across. Well done, sir. And that's taken up to the nth degree in the Peacemaker show. I think he does a really marvelous job. My sister and I were talking on one of our... Goodness, don't breathe. I can't breathe water. The Netflix Witcher show would be even better if it started with a song and dance. That would be amazing. Lindy says, Peacemaker series already out? Need to check it out. Yeah, the final season 1 episode was actually Wednesday this week. So, yep, if you have HBO Max, then pardon me, you can watch the whole thing. I liked it. I liked it very much. Reverend Werewolf, hello, says I would like to see a movie like Roger Rabbit, but with anime characters that live in the real world. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see some of our, it's all a licensing thing, but, I don't know who, like maybe the main character from, what's popular, Demon Slayer. I can't remember the character's name. Brian or whatever. And the gal with the bamboo in her mouth, Susan. Brian and Susan, the very popular characters from, is it Demon Slayer? I have that right? Just have them walking, just tourists, taking pictures and touring. I would assume Chippendale Rescue Rangers takes place in probably LA or something like that. And they're just, it's like, tourists. Yeah, it could be fun. That's interesting. Reverend Werewolf is. One of the things I was talking about Roger Rabbit. You could do these days is you could have more modern cartoons. You could have CG cartoons. You could have more international stuff like the anime characters. Could be really cool. Tanjiro, okay. Brian Tanjiro. I mean, that's the. It's essentially the. So I was close. What was I talking about? Peacemaker, yeah. Do I have anything I want to say about the show, Jer? I have like one minor critique. Isn't really about the show, but the way that some people, people might get the wrong thing out of it, but it's kind of a spoiler, and it's not really the fault of the show. So, I'll leave that one be. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the show. It was a great palate cleanser because I really didn't care for the Book of Boba Fett, which was was Tuesday nights at so I guess it was Wednesday and the other one was Thursday, but I watched them at midnight. So Book of Boba Fett was was Tuesday nights, and I'd watch it and I'd go, this is just not very good. And then the next night I'd get an episode of Peacemaker and I'd go, this is pretty good. So, and now that I have access to HBO Max for the time being, I would like to. I'd also like to watch Watchmen, because HBO Max had a free weekend in the last year or two. I've said the last year or two several times in this podcast, but it's true. A lot of things have happened in the last year or two. So I watched the first. Actually, no, I don't think they had it. No, it wasn't a free weekend of HBO Max. It was I think they were celebrating Juneteenth by making Watchmen free for that weekend. I think is what had happened. And I watched the first episode, and I quite liked it and was interested in watching the rest, but I just didn't want to watch 9 hours of a show. I just didn't want to spend my entire weekend watching that show. But now I can actually watch it leisurely like. So that's good. Also, I can watch Batman v Superman, all nearly 3 hours of it, or however long that damn thing is. It's weird wanting to see something but not wanting to watch it. I want to see Batman v Superman, but I don't really want to watch it. Oh my god, yeah. It's tough being a, consumer of disposable media. You know what thought I had earlier this week that just kind of horrified me? The next Disney Plus show, I think, is going to be a Star Wars show, and it's going to be the Obi-Wan show. I think that's in May. And I had this horrifying thought this week. I went, oh no. Oh no. Obi-Wan's going to take place on Tatooine, isn't it? I don't want to be on Tatooine anymore. Maybe it doesn't. I have a feeling it does. At least primarily, if not entirely. But I'm like, can we not be on Tatooine? Can we go anywhere else? Why is the galaxy so small? This is supposed to be the ass end of the galaxy that nobody goes to. The unimportant place that just nobody lives because it sucks. Why does everything happen there? Why is it the goddamn nexus of the universe? I don't want to be on Tatooine anymore. Go somewhere else. You know what? You know what new Star Wars thing they should do for Disney Plus? Make another damn Ewok adventure. That's what I want. I want Ewok Adventure 3? Because there's the Ewok Adventure. Why am I starting with my pinky? Because there's the Ewok Adventure, and then there's Caravan of Courage, I think, which is garbage. The Ewok Adventure is great when you're 6 years old. If you're an adult, it's maybe watch it with children or something, because I don't know how well that holds up. But I remember really liking the Ewok Adventure when I was a very small children. But I remember even as a very small children thinking that Battle for Endor was garbage. Hey, you know what? That the spider in the Ewok Adventure creeped me the hell out when I was a kid. You know, there's this big spider web that they try to cross the chasm, and then the spider's there, and it has like the glowing eyes that like hypnotizes the one Ewok, and yeah, that thing creeped me the hell out when I was like 6. I've since seen that scene again, and it's really funny because it's not a very good effect. I mean, it's one of those things where I can look at and I go, okay, that's not a convincing effect. That's a very lame puppet, but I can also see why that would just squick the hell out of a 6-year-old. So they did confirm other locations. Okay, great. Chicago says chaos, and Chicago says, I wonder if the finale Obi-Wan episode will have the old Obi-Wan. Alec Guinness' face will be CGI. Probably not, but you never know. If it's Obi-Wan, it's Ewan McGregor playing Obi-Wan, then it's going to take place while Luke is like, single-digit ages, I guess, when he's just a baby or a toddler or a small child, would be my guess. So at least we don't have to worry about CG Luke, and we don't have to worry about the Mandalorian. So that's good. I mean, maybe teenage Boba Fett will show up. You know, Boba Fett in his early 20s or something like that, but I mean, it definitely could take an entire 2 episodes to just ignore Obi-Wan and just see what Ahsoka Tano is doing, because she's still around. She's old. Oh man, Book of Boba Fett is just a mess. It's so disappointing. Again, not that there wasn't anything to enjoy in the show. There was plenty I enjoyed. There's a lot of cool stuff, but whew, man, that is some bad structure and bad storytelling. I read a lot of reviews for Book of Boba Fett, and all of them pretty much saying, I actually seem to be in the majority opinion on this one. Most people seem to think it's like, whether they enjoy it, some people may have enjoyed it more than I did, but pretty much every review I've read has been, yeah, this show is a mess. It's just structurally and narratively not good. I didn't actually read any reviews from anyone who was like, no, this is a good show, actually, and here's why. Which I would have been really interested to read, because I love reading reviews or opinion pieces that from people who view works in a different way, different from me. Good faith, of course. If you love a movie that I didn't like, I want to know what you saw in the movie that I didn't. If a movie really worked for me but didn't work for you, and as long as you're speaking in good faith, I'm curious to know why the movie didn't work for you. One example that springs to mind is what's the name of the movie? Colossus, something like that. I think it's who's in it? Is it Anne Hathaway? I think it's a movie about a woman who, if she stands in a park at 8 o'clock in the morning, she somehow, a kaiju shows up in Seoul, South Korea, and mimics her movements. So that's interesting. I didn't like that movie at all. I thought it was bad. And so did my sister, as a matter of fact. And we went home and because I'd heard that because we saw it like in a dollar theater. I think it's like several weeks into its run, and we went home and I was like, okay, why did this movie get so much positive praise? I want to read all the reviews. And my sister and I, spent a couple hours just reading reviews. And what was funny is we understood everything. It's like, okay, I see what everyone else sees in this movie. I see what you see. I still don't like the movie, but I do at least. It's interesting seeing that because sometimes I'll read a review from someone who has a completely opposite reaction. I'm like, did we see the same movie? But with Colossal Colossus, whatever it's called, it was clear that we all saw the same movie. It's like, oh, I love it because this, and this. I'm like, oh, that's interesting because Kelly and I didn't like it because this, and this. It just didn't work for us. So that kind of stuff I always find fascinating. Chicago says, I hope that Obi-Wan will be visiting other planets investigating rumors of Jedi. I am just kind of... The Jedi suck. I don't like and that's kind of the point of some of the latter Star Wars films, is that the Jedi are just really awful. And really need to end. Luke was right in episode 8. Like, the Jedi need to end. It's like, right? They totally do, because they're really terrible. But, I mean, if you can make Jedi interesting or tell cool stories with them, great. I'm all for that. But I've kind of... one thing I didn't like Rogue One. I don't think that's a very good movie. But I really liked that there were no damn Jedi in it until the tacked on bit at the end with Vader, which completely screws up the flow of the film. But I mean, in isolation, it's a cool scene, but and it makes sense that it's there. But yeah, God, it's just inappropriate for the story they were telling. Anyway, movie mostly with no lightsabers in it. It's one of the things I liked about the first season of The Mandalorian. No Jedi, no lightsabers, just other stuff. And don't get me wrong, lightsabers super cool, but I'm like, I've had enough lightsabers. I've had enough Jedi. They've been in every single Star Wars thing. Let's just look at something else for a while. And Mandalorian, for the most part, stays away from that. I mean, you had Luke show up at the end of Season 2. You had Ahsoka Tano show up in one episode. And there's the whole Darksaber thing. But, which at least is something different. Although it's a little weird that a lot of the Mandalorian big plot points were in 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. Which, one way to look at it, not necessarily the correct way, but a way to look at it, is you're holding the story hostage in a show that I might not be interested in watching. Because imagine someone who saw The Mandalorian and was like, I like this show. I don't really care about Boba Fett. I'll tune into Mandalorian season 3 though, and then they find out, and then they watch season 3 and they're like, what is going on? And someone tells them, oh, this was explained in episodes 5 and 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. Shit, I have to watch the Book of Boba... I don't want to watch the Book of Boba Fett, but I have to watch the Book of Boba Fett just so I can get Mandalorian Season 2.5 from episodes 5 and 6 or whatever it was. Yeah, it's... I don't have a problem with Mandalorian being in Book of Boba Fett. I don't have really a problem with Mandalorian taking up as much time as it did. I have a problem with a lot of what happened in Mando's episodes had absolutely zero bearing on the Book of Boba Fett plot. None whatsoever. Absolutely none. None. Din Djarin getting kicked out of the Order of Water Buffalo, or whatever the hell the name of the thing is, has nothing to do with the Book of Boba Fett. His whole thing with the lightsaber or dark saber and it being heavy until he knows how to use it has absolutely nothing to do with the Book of Boba Fett. Him getting a mithril shirt for Baby Yoda has nothing to do. His whole interaction, will Baby Yoda do his training or stay or go has nothing to do with the overarching narrative of the Book of Boba Fett. That's a Mando plotline. It has nothing to do with Book of Boba Fett. Why is it here? And maybe it's there to make sure that you watch every single goddamn Star Wars thing. And Disney, I shouldn't need to explain this to you. Let me mansplain that I'm already paying for Disney Plus. You don't need to do that. I'm already paying for it. Oh, we need to force him to watch both shows. Why? Whether I watch or not makes no difference because I already gave you my money. You already have my money. You already have it. The only thing you're going to accomplish is making the show suck. And then making me think, oh, well, maybe it's not worth keeping my subscription after all. I don't know. That's certainly a cynical way to look at it, but I don't think an entirely unfair way to look at it. At the end of the day, I like me my Star Wars and I like me my Marvel superhero stuff. DC too, but none of the DC stuff is on Disney Plus. And I just want it to be good. Or at least reasonably entertaining, and sadly, for me, the Book of Boba Fett mostly came up short in that regard. Oh well. Better luck next time. So, 8 o'clock, that is where we will end the show. I must eat, because I am hungry. And I know that as soon as I'm done eating, I'll be even hungrier. It's weird how that works. I'm the most hungry immediately after eating, which is annoying. So, tomorrow we will continue our adventures in Trails in the Sky, 2nd chapter. We just finished, I think, chapter 5, and now we are going to see what Joshua's doing. Joshua and the Kapua family gang. I'm sure Joshua will miss many opponents, just as much as we've missed him. So, Firelight says, but they can show a ratings bump for Boba Fett and boast how all their Star Wars shows are a hit. Except they don't show ratings, so they could just lie. They could just say, Boba Fett's a hit. They're under no obligation to share or reveal any metrics, and they don't. They just say, oh, this was popular, and oh, it's doing well. I mean, there are some sources out there that are doing their best to estimate how these things are doing, but the various streaming companies have no obligation to actually reveal any of those statistics. So, yes, Ver Life, Lawson, Ver Life. I really hope that's not a slur or something, whatever the hell that is. But happy Ver Life to you too. So anyway, we'll be playing more Trails in the Sky tomorrow, noon Pacific Standard Time. I do hope you'll join me. Until then, have a lovely evening, everyone. Good night.